888-4939.
On to something just a little bit lighter. We've spoken about building a sales team. We talked about sleaze-free sales. And of course, we talked about end-of-the-year tax planning. And now I want to talk about something really, really important. We're sitting here in studio with Miriam Ament, who's the founder of No Shame on You, an organization that is focused on eliminating the stigma associated with mental health. Miriam, welcome to the show. Tell us a little bit about how you started the organization.
Thank you so much for having me. I started because over a decade ago, I went through a very bad depression and faced a lot of stigma and isolation from some friends and relatives who didn't know how to handle me or the situation. And I wanted to take my experiences now, 12 years later, in a much better place and really take my experiences and make meaning out of them and really change other people's lives, because so many people go through this and it's such a common thing, but people don't want to talk about it because there's such a stigma. So I really wanted to change the whole conversation.
So no shame on you. You're focused on advocacy. What sort of resources do you provide for families or individuals that might be dealing with mental health and depression?
So my website and also my Facebook page, I provide all sorts of organizational support, hotlines if someone's in crisis. There's also, if people don't want to make a phone call, there's online chat crisis support. And also there are tons of national and Chicago specific, as well as all over the country, support groups and outpatient programs or partial outpatient programs and all sorts of resources out there for people from ages, young and up, that could help all sorts of types of people with all sorts of issues.
And this is an issue that's near and dear to you personally, but there must be a story how you started the organization. I know you're a budding entrepreneur. You've been through a startup program. Tell us a little bit about the story of starting a nonprofit.
So I started because I actually met Glenn Close, the actress, and she has an organization, and I opened up to her about my story for the first time to anyone who had never known my story. She was the first person I ever opened up to. And based on our conversation and how lovely she was, I thought, I can really do this. If I can tell Glenn Close my story, I can really make meaning out of this and do something. And then I applied to the amazing program Present Tense, which is a fellowship program. And from there, they really helped me, give me the tools and the networking and the public speaking experience and all sorts of things to form the nonprofit. And
already you're having a very nice impact, and I want to talk a little bit more about that in a moment. But what advice do you have for our listeners? We focus so much on business, but again, a lighter topic as we wrap up the year. It's everybody's looking at those emails that Linda mentioned before, those donation requests, and hopefully everybody's stepping up and getting involved in a charity and an organization at the end of the year. What advice do you have for somebody that might have an idea, that might have an issue near and dear to them, similar to No Shame on You, for you, Miriam?
I would say networking, talking to people. I mean, I through forming relationships with both organizations and through Present Tense, relationships lead to other relationships. And because of a relationship I had with the CEO of a prominent organization, he thought of me for a news segment that I was on a couple months ago that aired. And you just never know where things are going to lead and where things are going to blossom. So I would say getting out there and making relationships, talking to people and following up and thanking people and just keeping it going is really a way to, if you want to start something, you never know who you're going to touch. You never know who is thinking, oh my gosh, that's so about me. That's so something that I want to do. And from there you can just blossom.
Miriam, you're preaching to the choir over here. Networking is so important, mission critical to a business or an organization. Have you found mentors to be helpful? Have you found people that you could talk to that can really help you, whether it's in the finance areas of starting a nonprofit, the marketing? What's worked for you?
Yes. Through Present Tense, I had some great mentors, and I've stayed in touch with many of the people I met through Present Tense, and also through the relationships through working with other organizations who are similarly aligned to what I'm doing, and friends who referred me, and parents of friends who are interested in what I'm doing. I've just had so many people come forward and say, I want to help you, and I want to, whatever I can give, I want to give my skills and my experience to what you're doing.
And now the $1 million question. Everybody who's listening to this show will want to know, what can they do for you? What can they do for Shame on You? How are you looking for people to get involved?
Well, thank you. In so many ways. First of all, just spreading the message, raising awareness, trying to destigmatize mental health so that people talking about it, if you know someone who's going through a hard time, letting them know that they're not alone, letting them know that there are resources out there. And just so that's first and foremost is getting the message out there. For me personally, there are ways to get involved both as a volunteer on our. And we're developing our leadership infrastructure right now. So either if you want to come on our board or be on a committee for our board, we're developing educational opportunities and all these awareness avenues. So there are so many ways to get involved, and we'd love to have you. And just getting the message out there is so key.
And I know you have a Facebook page, a website. How can people get a hold of you and learn more about the work that No Shame on You is doing in the Chicagoland area?
So my Facebook page is facebook.com/No Shame on You, NOSHAMEONU, the letter U. You can reach me by email at Miriam, MIRIAM, at No Shame on You, NOSHAMEONU.com. Or please go to our website, www.noshameonu.com.
And this is the only organization that it's okay to spell with just the letter U. Use the quick texting talk, as we say. So once again, Miriam Ament of No Shame on You. Fantastic work that you're doing in the community, and I hope that as people wrap up the year, people will find some way to get involved, and even if it's just by spreading the word, even if it's just by showing a little bit of support for somebody, and we all know somebody that's dealing with some form of depression, some form of mental health. That's the most common thing that's going that people are facing. I know I've heard Tom Dar, the Cook County Sheriff, say this many, many times, that pretty much he's running a mental health institution and people at varying levels. So a very, very important cause for a very, very important mission. Check out their website, noshameonyou.com, and learn more about the work that they're doing. We're going to have you back on the show after the break. I'm going to be sharing some tips, advice, and information for folks that want to download an app, a productive business app for their smartphone. I've got a handful, almost a dozen of helpful tips. So don't touch that dial you're listening to. Get down to business. You can always download podcasts on my website, shalomklein.com.